Thursday and Sunday, your best tune in. 790 on the AM dial. You'll find me listening iHeartRadio style. Take a trip around the world of sports. Sound sneaker fiends on the scene, breaking it down, of course. With Adam Rap, the mouth of the South. Andrew Martinez and the flyest threads. DJ Johns make the cipher complete. Keeps the show flowing by providing the beat. H-Town Sneaker Summit and the Sneaker of the Week. Plus, Fun B, the Trilogy. The right combination and balance for me. The Rap Pack got they back in the streets. Call in line that you need to know. 713-212-5790. SportsRapLive.com for videos. Hit up yours truly, Buku1 for shows. Flows freestyles to get the vibe right. On Twitter at Buku1, hashtag Shakefly. Some compare us to the NBA and talk best show on the turf like Marshall Falk. One, tell the world, let it be known that all of the shows better watch the throne. Tell the world, let it be known that all of the shows better watch the throne. Haha. Buku1, FME culture. Oakland to Houston, connection.
All right, you're hot.
Welcome back to Sports Rap Live, everybody. Of course, shout out to the man Buku1 for that hot SRL track. We got some more friends of ours working on SRL tracks. Can't wait to hear that J Nature track. Of course, Booth Addicts, they came by and played one of their new tracks off the album No Filter. Coming up real soon, so you guys keep it locked right here for the best in sports sounds and sneakers from Junction Bar and Grill each and every Thursday night from 8 to 10 p.m. And you can catch us here on occasion from 8 to 10 p.m. You never know where in the world we might be, considering we like to take the show on the road, man. We like to get out and get amongst all the Rat Pack from around the world. So we've been talking a lot of basketball tonight, and we were just talking about LeBron. And I want you guys to keep it locked right here on Sports Rap Live, Sunday wrap-up for more NBA talk later in the show. But first, we got to look ahead at the college basketball landscape in the Martinez Report.
What a weekend.
You watch a lot of basketball this weekend, bud?
I tried to watch a little bit, man. You know, college, it all really depends on where you're at in the country as to what games you can actually watch. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to be traveling a little bit more during this season than I normally do. So it's going to be interesting going to the West Coast, catching some of those Western Divisional games, going out to the East Coast, the Midwest. But I would say,
I hope you don't get stuck on the West Coast, because you might as well be watching the Mountain West or the probably the Mountain West. That's about all I would watch out there.
Well, you start right at the top with Loyola, right?
Yeah, I was trying to recap over for the past couple days. So Friday, we had Loyola Maryland playing Iona, and that's actually a pretty important game for their conference. Now Loyola Maryland leads the Metro with 12-2 in their conference. Jumping into Saturday, Adam, when you jump through the conferences.
Yep.
So ACC, we had North Carolina beat Virginia, 70-52. It was an important game for North Carolina because they had to get back, maybe get their mojo back, make sure that there was no hangover from the Duke game. Duke, they also had a big game. Is this still a rivalry game, Adam? They played Maryland. They won by 18. It supposedly is a rivalry, but Duke's beaten them like, I don't even know how. They're like.
Well, of course, ever since Gary Williams stepped down or retired
True,
from Maryland, it kind of changed the dynamic of that rivalry.
they've been trying to give the Terrapins a legitimate rivalry with somebody, you know what I'm saying, for a while now.
Well, it felt like a rivalry when Jay Williams was there, because I know there were some big-time games that they played between those two teams. Sure. Even a couple seasons ago, there was some big games, but it doesn't feel like a rivalry anymore.
It's a reach.
Yeah.
It's really reaching right now.
Touching on the Duke game from earlier this week, Adam, I wanted to say that Duke game, it really didn't do that much for me as far as North Carolina. I still don't like this Duke team because they don't play defense. Their best offensive player is really Austin Rivers, which that's not a slight to him, but that's a slight to all of his teammates. They really don't have anyone else that can create their own shot. They rely way too much on the three-point shot, and they don't really have a point guard. Steph Curry is way miscast. He's very miscast as a point guard.
Let me ask you this. What did Austin Rivers do to follow up that performance the other night against UNC?
He had a sort of a ho-hum performance. It wasn't a spectacular one, but it didn't need to be. I mean, they had that game well in hand. But it just goes to show that if he isn't getting his shot, it's really tough for the rest of his teammates to sort of figure out and initiate the offense.
You got to be careful, especially with these younger guys. You know, those rivalries tend to be the things that's concentrated on. I mean, that's definitely the day where the calendar's marked. You know what I'm saying? In those locker rooms, and you got to be careful about that. Coming from a city where all we used to care about is if we could just beat the Cowboys if we played them that season, and the Colts every year. You know, until we start really concentrating on how to win a season and beat everybody, it was okay. And I think I think he's got a good run right now, but it's going to take a little bit more maturity from Austin and a lot more help from his teammates if they're going to handle March. If they're going to handle March.
Let's keep it in the ACC with Florida State, Andrew.
Florida State, they have a really good chance to even potentially win the ACC because you look at their wins that they have. They have a win over North Carolina and Duke. They play Duke one more time at home. Other than that, they can pretty much win all the other games, and I think they could potentially get first place. But they lost this past week, Adam, against Boston College at home, and you just can't lose to a team like Boston College and be expected to win the ACC. It's that kind of inconsistency on offense, which Florida State has always been an outstanding team defensively. That's why they've won so many games. But it's just surprising to me that, that they lost that BC game, and that's why I think they probably won't end up winning the conference.
But they'll still make the tournament. Correct?
Oh yeah, they'll get.
They're two big wins, obviously.
Yeah, they'll get third place probably in the ACC, maybe even second if something happens between the Duke, North Carolina, and one of them slips up. But they'll be fine.
All right, well, let's take it to a conference, that's had a lot of talk this week with, or a school that's had a lot of talk with this conference in the Big East, West Virginia, and that's a Bob Huggins team.
Yeah, they're looking like they're going to be on the way out and into the Big 12. There was already pictures of them on the Big 12 on the homepage this week. But I don't think this West Virginia team is going to make the tournament. They've lost 6 of their last 7. They're just not looking. They don't have many very good marquee wins. Louisville, on the other hand, though, they just got back Wayne Blackshear, who is a big deal to them. They play Syracuse at home tomorrow night. That's going to be a huge game because they can really help bump up their seed line from probably a 3 or 4 to maybe even a 2 or 3.
Overall seed?
Of a seed, for like a 2 or 3 seed. I mean, Louisville's been done pretty well this season. Some of the other games from this weekend was Marquette beat Cincinnati. They're both in. I'm not really too terribly worried about them. Cincinnati, though, they have to pick up a couple more wins along the way to be sure that they're in for sure.
Remember when Cincinnati they were a top 5 program in college basketball.
Well,
Absolutely.
when Huggy Bear was there.
Yeah, of course. Huggins was there. Kenyon Martin went through there. Shooting guard, who am I thinking of in the NBA, and went to Cincinnati? Right after Kenyon's tenure there. I'm drawing a blank now, of course.
I don't know.
But it's surprising to see that Cincy has kind of slipped in their own conference.
One of the programs we have to hit on, Adam, though, is UConn. They are in a serious downward spiral right now. I mean, you look at Jim Calhoun. I hope he gets better because I don't want to see, you hate to see any coach have to leave a program because of health reasons. But on top of that, they've lost, I think at one point they lost 6 of the last 7. And on top of this, Bun, did you hear about that they're going to be suspended for the whole 2013 season from the NCAA tournament because of grades?
Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? Bad grades. I mean, come on. I mean, of all things, you know what I'm saying, to be suspended of, when you have all the, you have people, I'm not making light of anything, but you have athletes that are out here literally murdering other athletes. You know what I'm saying? Grades is something that is usually an afterthought in college sports. And now you guys lose. You get suspended from the tourney for grades.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
That's
man.
high school stuff.
Yeah. I mean, no pass, no play.
Exactly.
Come on.
Come on, turn in that science project.
If you look at all the things that have been going on, so after the NCAA tournament, they win the national championship. Calhoun gets suspended for part of this season because of, I guess, an investigation that had gone on with an illegal recruit. Then they have his health reasons. He's going to be gone. They have this situation right now. They have their own bad performance, where they were ranked 4th in the nation to start the season. They're not going to make the tournament, I don't think.
That game, that second half against Syracuse this weekend, it's like
they got blown out.
I feel like they might have got the suspension news at halftime because they came back in. It was just, it was nothing. They quit. They quit.
Well, and Papa Bear's not on the bench. When Calhoun's not there, it's a totally different vibe on that bench.
I think that's got a lot to do with him quitting too.
I also think it's expectations. I think the fact that after Kemba was gone, Jeremy Lamb was hearing Player of the Year talk, and there was talk of could they repeat? I thought they were going to make the Final Four. I thought this team was incredibly talented, but it just seems like they're not mature enough at this point, and a lot of the expectations are just weighing them down.
And with Calhoun being gone, Drummond and Lamb, you could see them gone after this year.
Yeah, Drummond, he's going to be a top 10 pick. He has just way too much talent. But him and Lamb, they really need to stay and kind of – you would hope that they would stay, but if you ask them why they should stay, there's no reason to. They're not going to make the NCAA tournament next year. So I would leave it out of them too.
Yeah.
Now here's a blast from the past, of course, from my youth. Seton Hall. Seton Hall was a staple in the tournament in the the early '90s, and it looks like they're kind of on the bubble. They're going to be one of those bubble teams that we talk about going into the tournament.
Well, they got a nice win over Pitt. Pitt had a resurgence with Trey Woodall coming back to the team, but now with Seton Hall, I think that's a really good win for them. But I just think it's going to be too little, too late because they had such a great non-conference wins, but Well, they had a lot of wins. I should say they weren't over quality opponents, and that's why I think that you can't just lose 6 of your last 7 and kind of struggle your way into the Big East tournament and expect to get in. If they can now do something in the Big East tournament, that would be different, but I just don't see them turning the corner.
All right, now let's get to the big boys, the Big 10 and the Big 12. Let's start in the Big 10. Andrew, of course, we had a 39-game home winning streak snapped yesterday in a pretty much looked like could have been a blowout with Michigan State over Ohio State. And now the Buckeyes are permanently off that number 1 seed line.
They are off the 1 seed line, but they can still get back there. I was really surprised that they lost that game at home. Not because they're at home, but because I just thought that they would have brought it a little bit more than that when realizing what's at stake. Michigan State, though, you have to give tons and tons and tons of credit to Tom Izzo. He's doing it once again. This team isn't super talented. They have Draymond Green, who is a hard-nosed worker. He has a lot of Kyle Lane.
He played like a beast this weekend.
He has a lot of Landry in him. Carl Landry. A lot of that tough physical inside presence,
That
undersized guy. Yeah, the heart. This
know.
team isn't very talented by any means. I don't think they have any lottery picks on this team for the next couple years, but it's him working his magic again, and you can't count out a Tom Izzo team.
Well, when you got those kids that, 6'4", 6'5", playing like they're 7-footers out there, you know what I'm saying? It makes a big difference. We always talk about talent. Excuse me. Talk about talent. We always talk about shooting from the outside, and we talk about these guys coming in with these high seeds and everything. But it all comes down to heart. It all comes down to who's built mentally, physically, inside, and emotionally as well. Because these games get seriously emotional, especially again a lot of these key. Michigan State against Ohio State. That's a key matchup. People want to look good in those games. You know what I'm saying? And it takes a little bit of heart to get out there and do it. And it's not about showboating. Sometimes to get back to good old-fashioned hard-nosed basketball. I think Draymond Green is a big example of that kind of thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. Speaking of heart, Bun, one coach just really doesn't have the heart in it this year is Bruce Weber, man.
I would get rid of Bruce Weber only because the Illini is sort of known as a program that's had a lot more history, and he did really good whenever he first came in there. And I think that was because of the talent that its predecessor had brought in. But this team, Adam, has just underachieved almost every year for the last 4 or 5 years.
Do you blame the team or do you blame the coach?
I blame the coach. Mostly because this team has always been talented. They have NBA-level talent on this team every year, and they just underperform. They underachieve, and I think it's because of him.
Wow.
That's my opinion. He came from a small school and transitioned to this bigger program, trying to get the next bigger, better job, and I think this is a job that just didn't maybe it's just a bad fit. I don't know that he's a bad coach. It's just maybe a bad fit for him.
Do you think it's kind of like a D'Antoni situation where the players are just not respecting this guy, or do you think it's just he's not capable of taking a school of this dynamic to where they need to be,
I think it's
coming
just
from a smaller
I think it's just a
system?
bad fit for him.
Hey, I want to keep this conversation going, Andrew, because we're going to have all the action in March on Sports Talk 790. So let's go to a quick break right now. We come back. We'll continue with the Martinez Report. We're going till 10:15 tonight, guys.
Nice.
We got bonus time, of course, so you guys stick around. We'll be right back right here from Junction Bar and Grill on Sports Rap Live.
Rap.